And we are diving right back into our Hidden Stressors series with our third installment. Here's a tiny little backstory. I like to give the equation that to achieve better balance, all we have to do is subtract unwanted stress and add in more modes of joy and self care. And yes, I totally get it. There's a lot more than meets the eye. And that is what this series is here for. So today, I am shining a light down the dirty mine shaft of guilt that many of us feel. Whether you're a working mom, a busy person with a full schedule, or honestly, any person living in today's state and circumstance in society, many, and I would say most of us deal with the pangs of guilt almost every day. Oh, guilt. It's one of those things, from FOMO to regret and resentment. Somehow they're all intertwined, and our mind likes to play games with us to make us feel like a total garbage pile. Silly old mind. So, in this episode, I will be focusing on 3 guilt traps. And I want to share a really, really helpful exercise to let go of the guilt once and for all. Are you with me? Let's get started.
Welcome to the Juggle is Real podcast. I'm your host, Andryanna. I'm a career-driven mom of 3 boys who went from burnout to finding balance, and I am on a mission to help other parents enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. What do you think? Are you with me? Let's get started.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time to let go of the guilt in your life. Yes, that is the focus of today's episode. I will be looking at 3 guilt traps, and in uncovering them, in recognizing them, shining a light on these perhaps sticky situations or tricks that your mind is playing on you, we can recognize and release. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to share an exercise that will help us in removing, releasing, and saying sayonara to guilt once and for all. So, in this Hidden Stressor series, we are looking at sort of these unwanted stresses because stress is a part of our lives, and there are stresses that maybe help us, want us to keep going, motivate us, and it is impossible to get rid of all stress in our lives. But these hidden stressors, sometimes these things that are piling up on our shoulders that we don't even realize, this is where we can try to recognize and release. And the Hidden Stressor series is all about that. So we're uncovering topics that unfortunately we are unknowingly allowing to cause stress in our lives. And it might be wreaking havoc on our physical wellness, our mental well-being, and just our emotional health overall. So that is why I'm here teaching you what I've learned and sharing all of the things that have really, really, really helped me. So guilt for me was a huge part of my life. I would say guilt was one of those areas when I'm looking back, when I was in the burnout stage of my journey and thinking about the guilt that I used to feel on such a deep level, almost constantly. Like when I was at work, when I was at the office and I had 2 young children, at the time, I would feel so guilty because I felt that I should be the one who was with them, raising them, helping them, staying with them. Basically, 24/7, 365, I should be with my children. That's what a mom should do. And when I was at home, because I created and I asked for and was approved to have this quote unquote flexible schedule, I felt guilty because I thought that I was losing time and that I should be doing more, working harder, achieving more, accomplishing more. And so there was this constant back and forth. And then of course, don't even get me started on, the guilt I felt for, comparing myself to others, for looking at, oh, well, so-and-so can work 50 hours a week, has this many children, they're all so well behaved, everything looks picture perfect on the outside, or trying to look at circumstances and feel that I was always coming up short. And this is really just an like a self-fulfilling prophecy. This was me in just a downward spiral of, negativity. And the guilt just never ended because no matter what I was doing, I was coming up short. So in the work that I've been doing in finding better balance, one of the biggest steps for me in allowing the balance to come back to my life was to identify the guilt and then learn to let it go. So, three of the main areas that I feel really helped me in identifying guilt are the comparison struggles, the punishment struggles, and then what I like to call shoulding and the struggles surrounding what we should be doing. So let's talk about each of them in a little bit more detail. So when I was talking about sort of my journey and building myself back up to better balance after experiencing burnout, I found that the comparison trap was one of the biggest ones that left me feeling really guilty. And I think we all know the very common quote that comparison is the thief of joy. And truly, it really is. When we are looking at external circumstances and making assumptions on what we think are, perfect circumstances, when we're comparing ourselves to situations or circumstances that we don't even know the full extent of, or when we're comparing ourselves to perfect standards that are impossible to achieve, well, of course, we're going to come up short, right? So, comparison is the thief of joy, and this can come in many forms, right? We as parents sometimes can compare our children to others, looking at, the skills that they might have or the milestones that they're achieving, just going through Zach's first year of even just, looking at questions that people had with, of course, good intentions. Is he walking yet? Is he talking yet? When did he say his first word? When did he start crawling? And looking at these milestones. So comparing to others and looking at behaviors or perhaps seeing other children and comparing them to your own, that can be a huge cause of guilt because, of course, if your children are coming up short, then you are feeling guilty as the parent who should be the one to, be improving their skills or helping them achieve those milestones or leading them to better behaviors. And I think we all know this, but it's always good to have that reminder that everyone has their own journey and our children are part of these people and all of society who are learning and developing at different levels. So comparing our children, comparing our capabilities, whether that's how much we can do or how efficient we are or how we're just feeling our energy level or how much we're accomplishing when we're at work or doing those daily tasks, comparing our achievements to others, and then all of those outer appearances. Comparison is the thief of joy. So sit with it for a minute and think about when you may have, perhaps unknowingly or in a conversation, compared yourself or your circumstances or your family to others. Social media is one of those traps that can cause a lot of guilt. So think about that and really shine a light on if you are comparing and if that is leading you to feeling guilty. A second guilt trap that I recognized for myself comes with what I'm referring to as punishment, punishing ourselves. So you might not consider this part of guilt, but bear with me and stick with me here. So sometimes our guilt can lead to punishment, and this is the trap. So it could be consciously or it could be unconsciously, things that we aren't even realizing that we're doing. Sometimes when we feel guilty with our family, at home, when we're comparing any of these things, sometimes when we feel guilty, we decide that the repercussion should be to hold back, to remove joy, or to say no to experiencing things that really light us up. So it might look like skipping our lunch break so that we can get more done. It might be to decline an invitation from a friend who wants to go for a coffee because we feel that we should cram in every single moment with our children. If we don't get to see them a lot during the weekend has to be all about the kids. So punishment can be one of those areas that falls in line with guilt. The pitfall here is that punishing ourselves, it doesn't remove the guilt. Instead, it usually adds more stress, adds resentment, or just piles on top of the exhaustion. So now you're feeling guilty, and now you're feeling more stressed, more tired, and resentful. Probably not a good scenario, not a good place to be in. So this is another trap, punishment. And then the third trap is what I like to call shoulding, also known as false expectations, perhaps. So shoulding, it is really beyond me to think that so many of us, moms, me included, we think that there is some sort of way to be the good mom, the good partner, colleague, friend, etc., to strive for perfection in our parenting, perfection in our relationships, perfection in our careers, all while sacrificing ourselves for everyone else in the name of I should do this. I really should do that. So the thing about shoulding is that perfection is impossible. And I recorded another podcast episode on this, on perfection. It's really helpful. And if you want, please go ahead and check that out. But essentially, our unrealistic expectations, these false expectations, always fall short of perfect, right? Because perfect is impossible. And this shoulding only ends up serving up more guilt for not being able to accomplish what we thought we quote unquote should. So at the end of the day, all you're left with is a big, hot, steamy pile of should. Makes you feel more guilty. Research actually even shows, research on brain circuitry shows that feelings of guilt only gives more power to the part of the brain that seeks out gratification. So all of this, it's not serving us. And before you spiral into a whole new guilt trap, 4, realizing that you do some or all of these things that I'm describing, please let me gently stop you and let you know that it's not all doom and gloom. I promise. I wouldn't record this episode if I didn't have a solution. There is a way out, and it can be easy. I have a really helpful exercise to share to help you release the guilt. But before I do, let me share my thoughts on a couple of last things. So as a collective group, whether you're a working parent, a busy individual, or like I said earlier, the circumstances that we're living in, it really can fuel a lot of guilt. So for all of us, we have the ability and the power to shift paradigms and change circumstances to help ourselves and to help others. And more than that, when we become aware of the circumstances or the feelings that are not serving us, we can give ourselves some freaking grace and make the decision to change them. That's why you're here, right? So pat yourself on the back. You're here, you're listening, you're learning, and you're open. So with that, just open up, be honest with yourself. Figure out what it is that you are feeling guilty about and be gentle on yourself. We are all on our own journey. So now let's look at the exercise. This exercise I like to call appreciative intelligence, or have mercy on yourself, Uncle Jesse. Give yourself some grace. It's all about forgiveness, folks. So I want you to find a comfortable place, grab a pen and paper if you can, open up notes on your phone, or if you can't do any of that, really just hone in and give yourself a few minutes to think. How do we climb out of this trap, the guilt trap? Well, first of all, we can become aware. And in what I share today, in the 3 areas of comparison, punishment, and shoulding, or even areas outside, what are 5 things that you have felt guilty about recently? 5 areas, 5 situations, circumstances that really left you feeling full of guilt. Write it out. Think about it. This is where we catch ourselves. If you've thought of some areas, some situations where you were left feeling riddled with guilt, now is where we do the work in forgiving ourselves. So a phrase that was taught to me by my coach, Hannah Khan, that really, really helped me was to let go of whatever that guilt, that judgment was. So write it out or say it to yourself. I forgive myself for, and whatever that situation was, whatever that judgment is, whatever that scenario is that's leaving you with guilt. I forgive myself for feeling guilty for not being home with my children while I'm at work. For my new truth is, this is the kicker, this is the part that's going to help you release it. Replace that feeling of guilt with how you want to feel, with the truth that will really and truly set you free. I forgive myself for my new truth is that I am a present parent who makes the most of the time I have with my children. For I am a successful, career-oriented person who is efficient, effective, and driven. For my new truth is that I can be both a successful, career-oriented person and be an amazing, present, incredible parent. For my new truth is that I can do both successfully. Think about it. Forgive yourself and recognize, replace that judgment with a new truth. And then look at those truths. Continue to write out those truths. Read out those new truths and remember those truths. So when you're feeling guilty, all you have to do is course correct. And in the moment, you can just replace whatever that feeling is with the new truth. And for me, this was eye-opening. For me, this was really an opportunity to allow myself to feel good about everything that I was doing, all that I was accomplishing, and all of the areas that I truly was succeeding. Because you see, when you can let go of those feelings of guilt, you allow more space, you create space for the positive associations in all the areas that you're really doing great. And all you have to do is remember what those truths are, because they are true for you, for me, and for all of us. That's today's episode. I hope that you learned something, that you got something out of this, and that you can let go of some of those areas that are causing you guilt. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor. Just rate it quickly, write a quick review, share it with a friend, someone who you think could perhaps release a little bit of guilt in their lives too. Join my mailing list if you want more. I love sending little tidbits through email and sharing any upcoming things that I'm doing, whether it's speaking engagements, going live on Instagram, sharing just musings of the week. You can sign up for my newsletter to get all of that and more. And of course, please reach out if you want to let me know the guilt that you're releasing, what those new truths are, or if you have any questions or anything that you want to chat about. I'm always here. Sending you so much love. Until the next time we meet, the juggle is real, folks, but you got this. Take good care.